Hey guys, welcome to today's Legal 101. Being a Thursday, it's on environment and land law. It is a continuation from our discussion from last week regarding the floods. Remember, if you watched it or if you haven't, please go back and watch it. We were talking about the floods, stormwater management, but today we are talking about it from the point of whether or not somebody can get compensation for taking part in their own misfortune. So we have seen even in the news that there are people who are crossing through storm water on foot, some in vehicles, and they end up being swept away. And I understand how it can be a privilege to even just say, when you see storm water, do not cross. Wait for the water to subside. I understand how that can be a privilege, because for some people, maybe they're headed to work. You feel as if you get there past your work hours, you might lose your job. Maybe you're headed someplace. There's a sense of urgency you have. People have different reasons for doing different things. But at the end of the day, you may have to ask yourself, if I put my life in danger, will these people that need me now manage, or will their lives continue when I am gone because I risked my life? So perhaps, and I know it's, for some employers don't actually get it. You will still be expected to be at certain places. There will be no grace for you regardless of where you are coming from, etc., if that is the reason. And I know it is hard to say, oh, it's okay if I lose my job, because actually there's tomorrow when there'll be no flooding, and you will have lost your job because you never actually made it to work, or you cost a company money, etc. So I don't know, balancing the two is quite difficult, but I guess at the end of the day, it's about your safety. And if somebody else doesn't care for your safety, then perhaps you shouldn't be there in the first place. Anyway, so this is what happened in one of the cases we're going to talk about today. A lady named Rose sued her deceased husband's employer. The deceased husband was a driver at that company, and what led to his death, according to Rose, was that he was forced to drive through a flooded area, and he ended up in a river, and so he passed away. And she said it's because one of the sons of one of the affiliates of the company forced him to drive across the storm water. That son was not actually sued in that matter. The father was sued. So one of the defenses the company had was, this man was a grown-up. He could exercise his own discretion, take his own safety measures, and decide sipiti kwa hii maji. So they said, we gave him a helmet, but you see, a helmet would not even help. He's a driver. The vehicle was in good condition. There was no evidence to say that the vehicle was not in good condition. The only problem was the water, and we had no control over the water, and he could have waited. And this person that he's saying, the wife is saying, forced him, is actually not sued in this matter. Who is this person? And why are you suing their father? I've said this before, the sins of the father cannot, the sins of the son or the daughter should not affect the father or the mother, unless there is a direct causal link. The father told the son or daughter, and the son or daughter did it because they're perhaps employees of the father. That's the only way there can be liability. So in the end, they lost. The court said there is no link between this person's death and negligence by the employer. They simply should have taken precaution. Now, in another matter, a resort, there's a resort built on the shores of Lake Victoria. The owner of the resort bought 3 properties, built the resort, but before he built, of course, he got approvals, as one does. Except the approvals from the county government and from NEMA provided that he was only supposed to build suspended buildings. That this was very close to the lake, and if there's gonna be rain, it would flood. So it was in his best interest not to build permanent buildings, especially on the ground level. Okay? But what did this person do? They built permanent buildings on the ground level. So when the rains came, they submerged all the permanent buildings. He said he had spent 3 million to buy the properties. He had spent 100 million to set up the place, and he would lose earnings of up to 300 million because there was an investor that was coming on board. So that was 403 million, and he was suing the county government of Kisumu. He was suing NEMA. He was suing the Ministry of Environment and Forestry, and he was saying that if they knew that rains such as this would come every 50 years, then they should have provided this information to the public. So the court actually noted from the evidence provided that actually the suspended buildings survived the rain. They survived the rain. The court said, hey, this rain is an act of God, and you were told not to build permanent buildings in this place, and look, your suspended buildings survived. So there's no liability to be had. They went home having lost everything. So the point of today's Legal 101 is to just say you may have to really just choose yourself. Personally, as a business, you may have to look at it from a bigger picture point of view and be like, after I lose this, and then after I lose my life, and then what about my children? Who am I doing this for? Okay? And I have actually heard from the radio, I don't know how true this is, I am not a water level expert, that with storm water, after a while it subsides. That people wait for maybe 30-40 minutes and then it subsides and people are able to cross. I don't know, I am no expert in that field. But if that is the case, then isn't it better to wait? You may just have to shoot an email to whoever you're going to see and say, I apologize, it's an act of God, I am not able to come at this time, I'm at this place, I am waiting. So that there is even record. So that if it's an employment issue, there's record of you communicating instead of being quiet. Yeah, I think this is just a time to give people more grace. But you must also be vigilant. Choose yourself. Okay, goodbye. See you tomorrow.